Are you angry yet? Today we're going to be doing a Star Wars ranking video because we fear nothing. And if you're not mad yet, get ready. Who is number 1 and who was tragically screwed out of the top 5? You'll find out in this video as we touch on all the major sabers, so be sure to stick around till the end. Let's go. First off, let's get into a whole bunch of honorable mentions. The title said we'd rank them all, but in case you weren't aware, there's something like 50 unique lightsabers in the totality of Star Wars' vast extended universe. And we do not have the time to get into that big of a ranking. So for the sake of the video and the sanity of everyone involved with making it, let's just say that everything that didn't make our top 5 is tied right here in 6th place. And I'm glad we have this spot on the countdown, because while said extended universe sabers are hard-pressed to be as iconic as the ones in the live-action films, there is no denying the creativity and practicality of some of these, not to mention the ever-important coolness factor. For instance, the Grand Inquisitor's double-bladed spin saber is an awesome evolution of the Darth Maul lightsaber design. Very intimidating. The Mandalorian Darksaber arguably might not count since it really seems like a different kind of weapon entirely, but its rich lore and distinctiveness earns it a lot of points. Maris Brood's twin lightsabers were designed more like the martial weapons known as the tonfa than the typical sword design, and being held backwards, they made for a very unique aesthetic. Tera Sinube's Mafiesque cane lightsaber is honestly something any wizened elderly Jedi Master would feel silly not to own. Asajj Ventress's paired interlocking split sabers are wonderful. Any big blade that can be split into 2 medium-sized blades is automatically a win. And then there's Ezra Bridger's pistol-hilted lightsaber, which is like a regular lightsaber, but it's also a gun. What is there not to love? And now time to really upset folks, because naturally some of the iconic film sabers also had to be sorted down here. For what it's worth, these will be listed in order. Dark Ray's double-bladed switch saber looked cool at first glance, but the longer you look at it, the more apparent it becomes that it's just 2 lightsabers glued together, and also it's just a vision at the end of the day. Count Dooku's curved hilt lightsaber is maybe not as creative as some of the earlier mentioned ones, but it's certainly distinct and played to his fighting style enough to not seem nonsensical. Lastly, the lightsaber that almost made the list, and this one's gonna hurt. It's the Jedi Master's green lightsaber. Most closely associated with Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker also picked it up as a sign that he too had become a Jedi Master, joining the exclusive club. Green sabers are relatively rare compared to blue and red ones, and if you see a Jedi with it, odds are good that they're greatly respected. Number 5 on our list is Mace Windu's purple saber. Okay, yes, I know. In doing this, placing Windu's lightsaber above the green saber that Yoda and Obi-Wan held, we're making an awfully big deal about Mace having a distinct color for his weapon. It is admittedly just a huge shift for the special effects department at the end of the day. It shouldn't really be that big of a deal that it trumps the much more iconic sabers beneath it, right? But let's think about this. You know a lot of people who use red sabers and blue sabers. Green is a bit more rare, but still has 3 legendary figures to its use. But there is exactly 1 lightsaber in the films of this color, and even in the extended universe, there's like 2 other characters that had this thing. But let's change the question. How many uniquely colored lightsabers are there in the major works of the medium? Well, a lot less than you'd expect, really. Yellow sabers have shown up sometimes, but that's about it. It's kind of funny how they go to such great lengths to have these super ornate lightsabers to try and stand out. Yet all Mace had to do was take a fairly standard lightsaber design and tint it purple. Lastly, this was done because Samuel L. Jackson requested it, which is an honor that no other lightsaber in history has to its name. Number 4 on the list is the classic Sith lightsaber. Arguably the most iconic lightsaber around, this is quite simple but deeply effective. The Sith saber has been held in the extended universe by a number of edgy Force wielders, but is of course most famously attributed to Anakin Skywalker, aka Darth Vader himself. It would be nigh impossible to even picture Vader, one of the greatest villains in the history of media, without his signature red glowing blade. And like Luke forging the green saber as a sort of graduation rite, the day Anakin took up the red saber was the day he became the greatest menace the galaxy had ever seen. That makes it not just a really cool and edgy looking weapon, but a very significant one at that. It symbolizes the shift to the dark side in a very simple yet very real way. I'm not sure exactly why good guys go blue and bad guys go red in this universe. That's just how it fell, and I think we've all long since accepted it. But one thing is for sure, it'd look really strange for Darth Vader to be going around with a blue or green lightsaber. And now we go from one classic to another. Number 3 on our list is none other than the classic Skywalker lightsaber. Yes, I know. We've gone and done it now. We just put the two most iconic lightsabers in history at number 4 and number 3 back to back. Are we out of our minds? Maybe, but you have to understand that there is more than just legendary status playing a role here. There's a very strict criteria that our dozens of judges have pooled over in assembling this list. And while you have to respect these weapons for the incredible role they play in the story and it being the ones that started it all, after everything we've seen, well, hate to say it, but they are a tad boring. There's just a real lack of a gun on the hilt of this lightsaber, don't you think? Still, that doesn't change the fact that when people think of a lightsaber, their mind will immediately jump to either the red one that Darth Vader held or the blue one that Luke Skywalker made famous in Episode 4. And the latter gets top billing in this case due to good old protagonist bias. But for real, if you haven't held a blue lightsaber at some point in the series, are you really a Jedi hero? Luke, Rey, Yoda, Obi-Wan, Anakin, many Sith before they made the turn all held this thing at some point in the films, not even getting into the number of legendary warriors who wielded the tried and true blue saber. I know it seems a little backwards to talk this way when we've been valuing uniqueness so much, but the sheer ubiquitousness that this design has adds a ton to its iconic status. Without the standard blue lightsaber, there's no Star Wars. Number 2, Darth Maul's double-bladed lightsaber. With apologies to Jango, the true Boba Fett of the prequels is definitely Darth Maul, who managed to make a big impression in a short span of time. And he owes a lot of that to his iconic double-bladed saber. Often imitated but never duplicated, this thing basically kicked off the craze of personalized lightsabers all by itself. For decades, lightsabers were expected to be simple sword hilts with a single ray of light shooting out of the top. But Maul not only adding a second blade, but wielding it like a bow staff, aided by actor Mo Park's martial arts training, changed the game entirely. Suddenly, lightsabers could look like anything and be used like whatever martial weapon you could think of. Darth Maul's double blade is cool, it's edgy, it suits the character to the ground, and simply put, it launched a revolution in lightsaber design. It's like its own subgenre now, and it started here. What else is there to say? Now get your pitchfork-shaped lightsabers ready for this one. Number 1 is Kylo Ren's unstable crossguard lightsaber. Yep, we're going there, we're doing this, and we don't care who has anything to say about it. This thing right here is awesome. It's a Sith weapon, so it 100% has to feel edgy, and by goodness it does. The red glowing cross is instantly recognizable and adds an extra sense of danger and brutality that perfectly encapsulates what the dark side is all about. It's nothing much like any lightsaber that was seen before it, making it highly distinct, and it belongs to Kylo, the main antagonist of a whole trilogy, giving it a lot of significance. This is the lightsaber that killed Han Solo, for goodness sake, and while it's not necessarily part of the design of the weapon, the way Ren uses it, specifically his execution style, is very distinctive. He'll regularly position it next to people and then kill them purely by turning it on, and it's a big power move each time. That association adds a lot. Sorry, this thing just has it all. And that is all we have time for today. Until next time, thanks for watching.